citizens of the Nigelverse. It is Nigel here once again, and SummerSlam season is approaching, and so the changes to how I do wrestling reviews will come where we're moving full speed ahead into SummerSlam. I do have like one other wrestling review that I want to do this week, and I'm going to compile the ECW One Night Stand videos. So you can check those out, but that probably won't drop until next week. But yeah, considering it's SummerSlam season, and this card for this year's SummerSlam is shaping up already, and it's actually a pretty interesting one. A few concerns, but otherwise, it's shaping up to be an interesting one. But one of the big matches, and what's sure to be the main event match, is going to be Roman Reigns battling his cousin, Jey Uso. And it's going to be for the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship in tribal combat, meaning no other blood family is allowed to get involved. So naturally, I think you know how this one's going to end. But with this match approaching, and really this is a question that's been asked for a while, the question is, should Jey Uso be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns at SummerSlam? And the answer to that is possibly. And the reason I say possibly is because it's not quite as black and white or as definite as a yes or no. It's not really a yes or no question. And at least in terms of this, it's actually two sides. Those who believe that Jey Uso should, and those who believe that Jey Uso should not. So let's talk about both sides. So on one hand, with Jey Uso, we'll argue the side for Jey Uso winning the Universal Championship. On one hand, this really feels like this was the goal. This was the end goal for Roman's family to finally break apart due to Roman's own actions. The Usos turning on him, Solo possibly turning on him next. This really feels like the natural progression of things. Jey Uso, who's been built up heavily throughout the Bloodline storyline, and his reward for being such an integral part of the Bloodline storyline. And really, everybody has played their role in the Bloodline storyline, and I've talked about that before in another discussion video where I talked about, is the Bloodline storyline the greatest storyline ever in pro wrestling? If you haven't already, go check out that review. Or not review, go check out that discussion video. But this really feels like it's the end goal. Jey Uso being the one to finally knock Roman off his perch. Roman finally being knocked off by his own family, the person who probably knows him best, who's been under Roman's thumb this entire time. Jey Uso finally breaking free of those shackles and finally giving Roman Reigns what he deserves. And they definitely are building this up, not just with Jimmy Uso being taken out, but with what happened at Money in the Bank with Jey Uso pinning Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns suffering his first pinfall loss since TLC 2019. This really feels like the natural progression of things. This really feels like this is how the storyline should end. And for all intents and purposes, if that was the end, if Jey Uso won the Universal Championship, it definitely would get a pop, and it definitely would be earned. They've built up the storyline beautifully and perfectly to where people are behind Jey Uso winning the title. And truth be told, it's been like that for a while. This has been the rumor for a while that Jey Uso was going to be the one. Going as far back as even WrestleMania when Cody lost, there's people started immediately speculating that it's because Jey Uso is going to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. And by all logic and storytelling, with how things have been progressing, it makes sense. But at the same time, on the other hand, and there is the rumor of a potential Roman versus Cody match at WrestleMania 40 for the Universal Championship. Roman versus Cody 2, Electric Boogaloo. So, with that being the case, that would mean that Jey Uso winning the Universal Championship would be almost for naught, because he'd drop it right back to Roman. and not sure when he would drop it back to Roman, but he'd eventually have the Universal title would essentially have to come back to Roman at some point, right? Which I'm not the biggest fan of when they do that type of storytelling where it's, oh, we're gonna put the title on this guy, but we're really gonna put it back on this guy that we just took it off of. Like, I hate when they do storylines like that. It isn't the first time, it's not the last time, and WWE's not the only one. But Jey Uso, with all that Jey Uso and his character work has been putting in, that all the character work from Jey Uso that's been put into the storyline, and all the storytelling legwork that, and really all the Bloodline members, like I said, really all the Bloodline members, but Jey Uso especially, with all that he's put in, and the fact that it's been building up to a major moment and a major win, he deserves more than just to be essentially a transitional champion, just to drop it back to Roman. Like Jey Uso, if you want Jey Uso to win the world title, you want him to have a decently lengthy reign, and I don't think he's gonna get that if the plan is for Roman and Cody. That would mean that Jey just drops it back to Roman, and so if that's the case, is if I had to choose between Jey winning it then just dropping it back to Roman versus Jey not winning it at all and just losing at SummerSlam. Honestly, I'd rather just have Jey lose at SummerSlam. It would suck, but yeah, I'd rather just have Jey lose at SummerSlam because him just being a transitional champion, just a placeholder until they bring it back to Roman, he doesn't really deserve that. Especially not after all that's happened and all that the storyline's gone through, which means that WWE may or may not have just booked themselves into a corner with this storyline, and surprisingly, it's not really the only match where they may have potentially just booked themselves into a corner, but it is a very big one considering this is for the World Championship, and not just the World Championship, but the World Championship, not the World Heavyweight Championship that Seth Rollins has on Raw, but the Undisputed WWE Universal Championship, the championship that has been like the main championship for at least since last year, or technically more than that because of just the regular Universal Championship with Roman and everything. The big storyline up until this point, right? And the fact that they're kind of in this corner, or does kind of suck. Now, obviously plans could change, and so if plans change and it ends up being Jey Uso, and this I wouldn't mind, like if Jey Uso wins the Universal title, holds it till WrestleMania, and then drops it to Cody, I think people would also like that one. And especially with Roman potentially turning face, they want to apparently turn Roman face and turn him into a superhero type of face, because that worked so well last time. But I think if that happened, if Jey dropping it to Cody in a fair match, although may or may not be totally fair, maybe Jey turns out to be just as bad as Roman, and perhaps, but. If that were the case, I think we'd be okay with that. But for now, if the rumor of Roman versus Cody is the plan for WrestleMania 40, and having Jey lose instead of having him booked to be just a transitional champion, I think would be the better move. And I think I mentioned this back when I talked about Cody not winning the championship at WrestleMania, how, okay, Cody didn't win the championship, but now can they justify Cody not winning the championship? And in terms of whether or not they've fully justified Cody not winning the World Championship, their justification as to this storyline had to happen and Roman had to be the champion for this storyline to take place, I think, admittedly, the jury might still be out, but so far, I think a somewhat reasonable case has been made. The argument's still there that they could have hit this whole storyline of the bloodline crumbling apart with or without the World Championship, But for the most part, I think, at least for a good portion of people, they have maybe proven that perhaps Cody losing at WrestleMania was not the plan. And although in hindsight, I think and you probably could have had someone else win the Royal Rumble. Well, if the goal was for Roman to retain, why not have someone else win the Rumble? Like honestly, if Sami Zayn had won the Rumble and gone on to face Roman and lose to Roman at WrestleMania, I don't think people would have been as upset by that. That would mean that at A, we'd forego the match at Elimination Chamber, and B, there'd be a bit more of a slow burn towards Sammy's eventual break from the bloodline. But I don't know. That's all. Still questions for now. But now my question is, what do you guys think? Thanks for watching this discussion video. Let me know in the comments below. Your thoughts on everything I talked about. Do you think Jey should win at SummerSlam? Do you think Jey shouldn't win at SummerSlam? And what are your thoughts in the comments? And would you guys be interested in seeing Cody versus Roman 2 at WrestleMania 40? But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys later. Peace.